Hi, my name is Leigh and I'm an attorney practicing in East Tennessee. I have an office in Maryville and Knoxville, and then I also have a little shared office down in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida. So this is an unsolicited testimonial for the Ultimate Estate Planner Group, and I offered to do it for Kristina because I am such a huge fan, and I've had this experience of working with them it's been 1 year now, and it's changed my practice. It's changed my life. It's changed the life of my family and my staff members and their families. And so I think it's really important that people fully appreciate the opportunity that they're being given through Kristina and Phil Cavish through the Ultimate Estate Planner conferences that they're putting on. So I just want to share a little bit of my history with you so that you can understand where I'm coming from. And then at the end, I'm going to give you some tips how I think you can get the most out of going to one of their conferences. Or in my case, I've been to 3 already, and I'm going to go to another one. And it's the same one every time. It's not that they're doing different ones. It's just there's a lot to learn from them. And in my experience, impossible to learn it all in one go. So here's kind of my history. I have been in practice since 2007, but I was newer to estate planning and I had kind of retired for many years. So I came back into it after COVID and I was just solo at home. And so I had no one working with me, no staff. And I was getting into estate planning. So I joined Wealth Council and learned, went to their boot camp, learned as much as possible and just kind of really dove into it and started getting some referrals from the massive amount of networking I was doing, going to meetings and Chamber of Commerce and all those things that we do when we're first starting our business. And that was in August of 2022. So I think I made $2,500 my first month, and not a whole lot in the months after that. But then the beginning of the 2023, things got a little bit better. And so I was up until May of that year, I was just toiling away on my own, trying to figure things out. Now I had done a seminar, I think, thinking this would be a great way for me to try to talk to a lot of people at once instead of people one at a time in my office. I had by this time rented a small little shared office space. I still had no staff. I was doing everything myself, everything. And May of 2023, UEP, Ultimate Estate Planner, had a conference in Dallas. And I heard about them because I decided I was going to start doing seminars, and I posted on Wealth Council. Anybody interested in growing their practice with seminars, join me on Facebook. Kristina reached out to me and said, this is something we do, and I would be happy to give you all kinds of help and tips, which she then did free. She did not charge me. She did not charge the people in my Facebook group. She just shared a wealth of knowledge with us and then let us know that if we wanted to learn more, we could come to one of their events. So I said, she's already changed how I do my seminars. They've already become more effective. So I'm going to go ahead and invest in it. And it was a couple $1,000s, which was a lot of money to me at the time. And to me, I thought if I'm going to spend this money, I'm going to put my heart into it and really pay attention to what they're telling me because they seem to know what they're talking about. So in May, I went, and then I had, I think, maybe 5 or 6 front and back pages, single space of notes of implementation I wanted to do when I returned. And of course, impossible to implement all of that. I picked kind of my top 4 things and went after it. And mostly it was focusing on getting a staff member hired because Kristina and Phil both told me that was absolutely something I needed to do. I was working way too many hours and doing too much of the work myself. And I needed to be more regular about my seminars. So those are the 2 biggies that I focused on. And I also upgraded my technology. And so let me share some revenue numbers with you because I think when it comes down to it, we're doing this to make more money and to provide for our families and our staff families. So my first 9 months in, my average monthly revenue was $12,821. For a solo, just kind of starting out, that was pretty good. And then I went to the UEP conference in May. And so for the next 8 months, my average monthly revenue jumped from 12,000 to 61,395 monthly. And that was with 1 staff member. And then I added a second staff member. But to be honest with you, the first 4 people I hired were absolute stinkers in the end. I had not really focused on UEP's section of their training on hiring and staffing. I was more focused on seminars and technology. So the next meeting I went to, I listened more about the staffing and about hiring employees and about treating employees. And so my next 3 hires were aces in the hole. Amazing. I have an amazing staff now. They have only been with me since January, but it feels like they've been with me for years, and they're 100% invested in the business and the clients. And so I will tell you that my revenue now, for the next 5 months. So that last number I gave you was through the end of last year. So from January to May, it's May 22nd right now, my average monthly revenue, and I'm not finished with May, so this number's a little off, is $101,367 per month. So it's probably going to be closer to 107,000 average a month for the last preceding 5 months here of 2024. And I can tell you that I credit almost 100% of that success to what I learned through UEP, and they're not paying me to say this. And I don't get a benefit from saying this. And I told them I wanted to do this. They didn't ask me to do it. So I'm just telling you why, because I have this attitude that there's enough out there for everybody. Me sharing my information with you is not going to hurt me by any means. And if it's going to help somebody out there and their families, I'm happy to do it, which is why I have a Facebook group where I share all the stuff I learned for free, and I'm happy to support people through that group. So now you know about my story, and I'm going to share with you what I've learned now going to 3 different UEP sessions. And I'm sharing this with you so that you can get the most out of going there. I hope you will invest in yourself and your practice and your people by going to UEP. And I will say the last one I went to, I brought a staff member with me, and the next one I'm bringing my entire staff, because it makes such a big difference to have a teammate there with you who's going to help you implement. Each time I've gone, I've come away with a huge list of action items and implemented my top 3 or 4. And it's really changed my practice, but there is so much information, it is impossible to implement everything, and it's impossible to absorb everything. So I do recommend you go to more than one. And the number one thing that you absolutely have to do before you even commit to going, before you commit to paying, is adjusting your mindset. And Kristina does talk about this in her conference, in her seminar. If you don't believe that it can happen for you, if you think all of these things sound impossible, it's not going to help you to go, because you have to truly believe that you can do this and that it's possible for anybody. I'm telling you it is. Phil Cavish will tell you that it is. Kristina will tell you that it is. But if you don't believe it, you're going to find reasons not to do it. You'll find reasons to fail. So first thing you got to do is get your mind right. The next thing you have to do is, if you're like me, you're a type A personality, bossy lawyer person. So you probably think you're the smartest person in the room or close to it. So what you have to do is be smart enough to be dumb enough to listen and do what you're told. So what I see happening in these groups sometimes is the lawyer thing comes out, and instead of nodding your head and saying, yes, this makes sense, I think I can make this work for me, people are in this mindset of, that would never work for me because of this reason, or my town is different than that town, so it couldn't work for me. But I can tell you that I have now in my Facebook group several very successful attorneys who started out doing nothing at all and are now doing very, very well for themselves. And they're all over the country. They're in different places, different populations, different markets, and they're all making it happen. So it is possible for you to do it, but you got to absorb the information and not sit there and argue with the information. That being said, you will have to tweak what you learn for yourself, for your personality, for your practice, for your market to some degree. You're not going to be able to do it exactly like Phil does it. You're not going to be able to do it exactly like I do it. However, both Phil and I and others have taken Phil's framework and refined it into a system that works really, really well for us and brings in a lot of revenue and makes a lot of clients' lives way better. So you can take what they give you and adjust it, but I wouldn't reinvent the wheel. Copy your way to success. Take the things that they will provide that you can purchase from them, their systems, their packages, whatever you want to call it, their licensed materials, and use them because they work. If you're not a good speaker, so I build my business through holding educational seminars. They last about an hour and a half total from beginning to end. And I get anywhere from 15 to 40 people to come to each one, and I've done them up to 3 times a week. I have a waiting list. I'm booked out a month to 6 weeks in advance, full capacity at the seminars. I do television advertising. I do billboard advertising. I have online media going. I didn't start that way. I started out just shaking hands and meeting people at meetings. So my marketing plan has evolved with my business. But if you're not a good speaker, if you're not good at addressing groups, you need to get good at it, because you're in this business of educating people before you can ever talk to them about doing their estate planning. So if you're not a good speaker, if you're shy or worried about that stuff, I recommend you join Toastmasters, which is a group that will teach you how to be a good public speaker. And I also would say that a big key is connecting with other like-minded attorneys, which you can do through UEP. You will meet all the other attorneys in attendance. You can become friends with them, colleagues for sure. You can join my Facebook group. It's free. We share everything in there and encourage each other. And I invite everybody who's part of my Facebook group to come and stay with me. Come sit in my practice for a week. I'll show you everything I do. You can come to my seminars. I'll share my materials with you that aren't already licensed through someone else. So, I'm happy to help you, but if you're not willing to help yourself, there's no point in going to the UEP or doing anything else for that matter. Just keep plugging along the way you're doing. But if you want to revolutionize your practice, increase your revenue, increase the standard of living for yourself and your staff and your family, then by all means, invest in the Ultimate Estate Planner. And the very last piece of advice I would give is, once you leave UEP, you have to implement, because all the learning in the world isn't going to do you any good if you can't take what you learn and put it into action. So pick your top 1, 2, or 3 items that you learn in that particular conference and go make it happen. And then go again and find your next few things. So that's what I've been doing. It's been working for me. I know it can work for you. And I 100% am behind UEP and everything they're doing. And I get absolutely nothing for saying that, other than this good feeling that maybe somebody will listen to me and they'll change their lives too. So anyway, I hope you found this helpful, and I hope I see you at a UEP conference. I think the next one I'm going to will be in St. Pete in January of 2025.